back to my channel. This episode is gonna come out in Thanksgiving, so I might as well tell you how grateful I am that you guys are here and that you subscribed and that you listen to my podcast every week and that I'm having this space with this amazing people every week that are sharing tools to make your lives better. So today we have a very special guest here. Deanna, please introduce yourself.
Well, thank you so much, Veronica, for having me on. My name is Deanna Marie, and I am a life coach for women with alcoholic partners. I was actually in a relationship with my alcoholic ex-husband for about 20 years, and that was about 20 years ago. And I was looking for resources for me beyond the traditional resources of Al-Anon and therapy. And I never really found the resources that I was looking for. And what I was looking for was really like a mentor that would that would always be there to support me, who would just listen to me when I cried or offered advice when I needed it, or just, was my cheerleader when I was just down and out. And I never really came across that person. And so I said to myself way back when, if there's ever a chance that I can be that person for someone in the future and be a third resource beyond the two traditional resources, that's what I would do. And here I am.
Wow, that's so powerful, and I'm so glad that you're doing that. I also use my experience to help others because I feel like that's where we get our expertise. But tell us about Al-Anon and what is that and how does it work? Because maybe some people here, don't know about those resources. And then tell us about how you actually came out without that help that you were longing for.
Yeah, sure. So if any of your listeners have actually been to an Al-Anon meeting, when you go to an Al-Anon meeting, and I was in my 30s back then, so I used to go in my lunch hour, and then you would just go into the meeting and you basically sit around a table or sit in a room, and people will share what's going on in their life. But in those meetings, there are no give and take at that moment in time. It's like everybody gets to share, and then the hour is over, and then you move on with your day. The real interactions come either obviously before or after. And the people that were actually in my meeting, I never really made a connection with. And also, too, I was on my lunch hour, so I really didn't have time to connect with them. And so Al-Anon has helped millions and millions of people. And if it's between having no support and support, run to Al-Anon because they can help you with a lot of things. Therapy, traditional therapists, they listen to you, but they don't offer advice. They want you to kind of figure out on your own and on your own terms on what's the best solution for you. And though that's, again, very helpful, and believe me, I've had my share of therapists, there's times I just felt when I was in my situation that I want somebody to tell me what to do. Just tell me what to do so I can just get over this hump or this hurdle or this problem or this cycle that I'm always in. And therapists don't do that. And that's when I decided I'm going to do that. I'm going to offer up advice. And obviously, people have autonomy, they can do what they want, but I can guide them based on my experience and what has helped me, and hopefully will help them. So that's how my program is different. I offer up advice. I support all my clients 24/7. It's not like when you're in therapy or go to Al-Anon, it's an hour and then it's over. With me, you have constant access to me all the time because I want to be there for you. I want to get you through whatever it is that you're struggling at that moment.
That's very cool. I offer the same thing with my coaching. So same page. I love that. So what were the hard things about being married to an alcoholic?
I would say the primary thing that I struggled with the most was really, what do I do? When you actually get to a point where you recognize that this is a problem, this is not just a weekend party binge or you're celebrating a special occasion or they're blowing off steam, when you really realize that this is a pattern that you just can't live with anymore, then you start questioning, like, what am I going to do? What should I do? And that's really, I wanted help doing that. And that's when I tried Al-Anon and I did go to therapy. But again, they didn't really tell me what to do. They were guiding me, but I wanted just a little bit more. And so I just started reading some books and started just doing some of my own work. And through some of the things I did learn through therapy, I started setting up boundaries and, communicating a little bit better, and just really just sticking up for myself because what happens is a lot of, at least for myself, a lot of what I did and a lot of women do, my clients say, you tend to shut down when you're in an alcoholic relationship after a while because you just get so tired of like anything you say is wrong or it starts a fight, and just not saying anything sometimes is just easier. And that's why it's like I just wanted to do something different. And so I started this coaching program so you didn't have that prevailing thought anymore of what am I supposed to do now?
Did you struggle with codependency where you needed to do the things and you needed to take care of him and you thought that without you he would not survive?
You know what? For me personally, that's two questions for me. For codependency, I would say, generally speaking, I think most women struggle with codependency, even if they will say, I'm not codependent. I do my own thing. But the truth of the matter is if on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, you're changing your schedule or behaving in a different way because of your partner's behaviors and how they're living your life, then you're somewhat codependent
Yeah. Yes.
because you're altering your life based on what's going on with him, as opposed to being truly independent and just doing what you want to do, regardless of what their behavior is. So that's part one. Part two is really, I never felt like I needed to stick around to save him or anything. I know there are a lot of women out there, and some of my clients do feel that way. And, it's a struggle because you didn't get into this relationship, you know, to leave the relationship. You got into this relationship because you love this person wholly and you see the beauty in them. And therefore, it's like, but they don't see the beauty in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I recognize that, you know, after I started really doing my own work, that there's nothing I can do about him. And even if, God forbid, something did happen, that that is not my responsibility. That is on how he chose to live his life, or to take it a step above, because I will say this is part of my story. It's like it's the journey that the universe has given us, and we're supposed to learn from all of it. But fortunately, I never gotten to a point where I felt like I needed it. I just realized there's nothing I could do for him anymore because I had tried all the other things. And now it was time for him to do what was best for him.
Mm, yes, that's very important. That's a lesson I learned and I'm still learning. I feel
Okay.
like we all have different patterns, right? So I have that pattern of the savior, of the codependent. Like I want the people that I love the most to be healthy, to,
Yeah.
do the work, to be great. And we think as humans that what we do is what's going to help the other person too, but we all need different things. And that's also why it's good to be a coach and to have a coach because they personalize for your needs. Like you just said, you didn't have that, but that's like very common in uh, partners of alcoholics.
Mhm.
I didn't have an alcoholic partner or parent or anything, but I am like that. So it's interesting to see like the similarities in human behavior and how we
Yeah.
react, because I read a book once that was very like codependent no more.
Yes, yeah, I have it on my shelf right over
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
Yeah, it's so powerful. Because codependency can be also it's really bad for the relationship. 'Cause
it
you don't
is.
love the person for who they are. You want them to be what you want them to be, and you fall in love with the potential, which is kind of like, what you were talking about with your situation as well. Like you see the beauty in it, but is it actually sustainable? Is it actually the beauty all the time or most of the time? Or how is it affecting you in like your daily life, right?
Yeah, because that's a lot of the reasons why women, and I will throw myself in there, stay in these relationships as long as they do. I mean, I had 20 years in my relationship, and I will be honest with you that from the time I knew I should leave to the time I left, it was 9 years. And that's a lot of time that I dealt with all this emotional chaos and the ups and downs when I didn't have to.
Hmm.
And and when I say that, it's like I didn't have to because if I had gotten the tools that I now provide to my clients, it's like it would have eased some of my own mental anguish.
Hmm.
And also, maybe I would have made, and we did end up separating, and maybe I would have made that decision earlier, or maybe I wouldn't have. I mean, that's up to, out there now and it's done. But you just you just never know what's ahead. And, and so that's basically
Yeah,
how
so you
it,
mean that's you never know what's ahead in those kind of situations where you
yeah,
stay?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like you just never know what's going to be ahead for you. And I would offer up too, it's like you have to have clarity
Hmm.
before you have to be like you have to have clarity in this situation before you make a move. And what I do, I have like it's called 6 stages of an alcoholic, and the sixth stage of it, based on my own experience, and I've put it out there enough, and a lot of women out there have commented on it. It's called enough is enough. And that's when you get to a point where you're just at your breaking point, you pack up your stuff, or you just leave and you just go. And uh, I would say the majority of the time, that's what people do, right?
Hmm.
But I offer up to my clients who come to see me, don't do that. And the reason being is if you don't actually reconcile with all of your emotions and feel clean about dissecting this relationship to a point where you feel good about it, then you're either going to doubt yourself, regret yourself, or end up going back.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And I feel like as women, we do that a lot, like the self-sabotaging pattern. You go back to your toxic ex-boyfriend that's always there, and he always ends up doing the same things over and over again. And it's almost like we want that. It's almost like we like it because it's our normal. And
Yeah,
being in a healthy place is not normal, and it feels foreign, right? So
absolutely.
how was your transition from being with him for 20 years and then separating and like reinventing yourself?
I mean, I have to say it wasn't a 1 week process. It was actually probably a 3 year process.
Mm.
And we separated 3 times within the last like 3 years of our relationship together. But each time I had just built more strength and more confidence and all the things that were keeping me back, like my boys needed their father, or I can't do it alone, or I don't know how to mow the lawn. Like all those things were just starting to get erased off the board. And I
Mm.
started getting more confident. And so your your yours, meaning your listeners' dissection, doesn't have to be as long, but the point is things like I don't know how to mow the lawn. My kids need a father. I don't want to be an old maid. What will my in-laws say? Those are the things that are going to keep you in that relationship longer.
Hmm.
And only until you reconcile with them can you make a clear cut. And like I said, I had 3 years of patterns to finally make that final cut. But for those who are thinking about just running out, I just offer up to you, do you feel clear and will you not look back if you make that decision today?
Mm, yes, those limiting beliefs. You
Yeah.
limit yourself because you believe that you can't do stuff, but actually we can't do anything if we want to. It's just,
Yeah.
and did you have that feeling of um foreign feeling or being in a healthy place? Did it feel foreign to you or it felt good?
Well, it's interesting enough. Of course, like when you anyone then I got divorced. So anyone who's been through a divorce, and I'm not a divorce coach, though I probably could be one. You go through all that trauma of divorce and the kids. But to your point, um, once you pass through that phase and things start calming down, um, and my new husband right now, he was the kind of person who would like, leave me flowers and, write me little notes and do things. And the interesting thing is, I was like, what does he want? Like, what does he want from me? Because my father was an alcoholic. I married my father, so to say. I got out of that relationship, and now I meet this guy who is just being so kind to me. I think that there's something wrong with him. And this honestly went on for over a year. Like the whole time I was like, what does he want? Does he just want to try to get me in the bedroom? Like, what does he want? Like, there's got to be something else to all this niceness.
Mhm.
And the moral of the story is he just wanted to treat me well. And he still treats me well. As a matter of fact, he's cooking downstairs, but uh, um, it does. It feels foreign. And it took a year for me to finally understand that I lived in a conditional relationship for so long with my alcoholic partner. And now that I'm in an unconditional loving relationship, that I could finally be comfortable with that. But I'll tell you, it takes time. And ironically enough, him and I, we just talked about it the other day. There's still times that he does things for me, and I'm like, oh, no, 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 I can do that. I can do that
Mhm.
because I don't want to feel like I owe him anything. And
Mhm.
I don't. But my ex-husband, I always felt, well, I'm going to owe him for this, or he's going to hold it over my head.
Mhm.
That's a terrible place to live. I mean, this is your life partner, and like you're so afraid to like live your own life because you're afraid that your husband is going to hold it against you the rest of your life. And so to answer yes, it was foreign, but now I'm starting to get used to
I love
it.
that. I love that. I think that happened to, well, that happened to me, but I don't remember it that much. But to my partner, to my boyfriend, he was having some, I think 10 years of toxic relationships. I think one of them could have been an alcoholic, maybe undiagnosed. Um, And when we got together, there was a lot of resistance because it was like, what is this? How can this be? I don't know if I deserve this, and why am I not getting any negativity or toxicity? And it was we had to navigate, because he was almost like pushing away because it was so foreign to him that it felt not normal and almost wrong, you know?
Yeah, because when you're not used to getting attention and being doted on, it feels suffering. Like I felt like he was suffocating me, like, but
Yeah.
all he was trying to do was just love me. And when I didn't grow up with that love with my father, and my parents were divorced early, and like I said, my dad was, and then my ex-husband was the same way. When you meet someone who unconditionally loves you, it can feel overwhelming and suffering at times.
What's your advice for that?
Um, Honestly, my advice for that is, and I say this to my clients on every aspect, their actions are going to show you their true selves. So if when he continued to kept giving me the love and the presents or just the, unloading the dishwasher without me asking over and over and over again, and I didn't owe him for it, that's when you realize I can start taking my defensive wall down and just really know that this person is really true. And so it's not a magic wand, it just takes time, but they will, because let's face it, when you're in a relationship a long time, people get comfortable. You start doing and saying things that you probably wouldn't say in the dating period, right?
Yeah.
But if you're around this person long enough and they're still staying true to themselves, then you know pretty much so this is a good or bad thing.
Yes, I love that. And what would you say changed in your emotional regulation? Like, how were you when you were in your 20-year relationship with an alcoholic, and how are you different now in terms of your nervous system?
Oh my gosh, I'm so different. Used to be so stressed all the time. Like I had like these two knots in my shoulder blades. I can even like feel them now as I talk to you constantly. And I was so naive too about the pressure that I was dealing with that, and this is the God's honest truth. This tells you how just sometimes we just want to tell ourselves another story. I thought maybe I needed to go see a chiropractor to release this stress. And so I went to a chiropractor and is like, there's nothing wrong with me. It's just that the fact that he could tell, like, your muscles are so tight, you need to relax. And eh, and once my partner and I made our final separation, you do, and I want to offer this up to all your listeners. What happens is you kind of go into this deep breath, euphoric state because you're not dealing with all the chaos anymore. It's like, oh, thank God they moved into their own apartment, or thank God they, are just out of this house, whatever it is. But then what starts creeping in is, well, and tomorrow is a perfect example. Oh, it's the holidays. Oh, geez, I'm not gonna be going to my in-laws anymore. I really loved my in-laws. I'm gonna miss them. And that's the work that you have had to complete before the separation. You have to think of those things because otherwise you're gonna be like, oh, I really miss them. Well, maybe let me just text him. Let me just see what he's doing for Thanksgiving. And then it brings you back to where you were when you've already made this step of like, whew. But then all the emotions start kicking in. Oh, I'm so lonely. It's Friday night. I got no one to watch TV with. I want to, me and my husband used to go to the grocery store. I don't do that anymore. It's all those things that
Mm.
cause people to go back unless you reconcile with all of it in advance and just, I can go to the grocery store. I can go to Thanksgiving dinner alone and it will be perfectly okay. That's when you know you're on the right track.
Yeah, I feel like we're in that moment when you break up, it's we like romanticize everything. It's like
Yeah.
so big, so much bigger. Like I'm never gonna do this again. My life is
Yeah.
gonna end. And then when you
Yeah.
see it afterwards, after years, it was like just a little moment, like
Yeah.
of your life that wasn't that bad, and you just have to
Yeah.
learn to let go and make peace with it. But yeah, that's every woman suffers from that. I feel like
Yeah.
the separation anxiety and the idealization of the person. We only remember the good stuff and the in-laws
Right.
that we love and what we're gonna
Right.
lose, but we don't remember how bad it actually was to us and our nervous system. Um,
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're right. It's like, when you're in the relationship, you're like, I can't take it. I can't take it. I can't take it. And then you make one step toward it. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, maybe I didn't give it enough time, or maybe I didn't do the right things, or maybe if I was just nicer, or
Mm. Yep.
maybe.
Yeah.
And so many women, including myself, used to, I did it too. But
Mm.
that's where we have to become empowered. And in my program, really, that's what I do. I want you to be empowered in my program, regardless of what you do. Because if you leave the relationship, you're going to need to feel strong and confident to handle all that's before you. If you stay in the relationship, you're going to need to be empowered so you don't live a codependent, as we talked about earlier, existence where your life is wavering left and right based on how your husband is or partner is showing up that day.
Hmm.
So it's about getting strong and then from that place deciding what you really want.
Are there successful stories of somebody living with an alcoholic and just thriving and not being affected by it?
You know what? I would say yes, there are many women who choose to stay. I will also offer up, it's always a work in progress. Because if they come in and start, say, verbally abusing you, no matter how much work you've done on yourself, it is hard to sit there and listen to that without having immediate reaction and feeling tense. And then, okay, I've done this before. I'm going to keep myself paused. I'm going to let him go. This is not about me. And go through the skills that I teach them as opposed to not having to deal with that at all. But women do it and they have their reasons. And again, it's all autonomous. It's like may have financial reasons, they may have medical issue reasons, they may have a variety of reasons specific to them. And who am I to say this is what's best for you? They know what's best, but it will be always a work in progress trying to live that life when you are constantly being bumped up against with this often chaotic and disrupted behavior.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. I'm not there to judge either, but I feel like, your nervous system would would be better at a place with where it's like a healthier environment. But, it also depends on the situation, right? Like, how bad is the alcoholic? Is it functional alcoholic? Is it abusive? Is it, like there's so many variables to consider, but that's interesting.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring up that. And I love the fact that you brought that up because an alcoholic, in my definition, is someone's partner who drinks alcohol, whether it's one beer or one quarter vodka, it doesn't matter. It's does it disrupt your life
Hmm.
and relationship?
Right.
Because the amount and whether they're high functioning or not, whether they got a six-figure job, it doesn't matter. Is the drink, as little or as big as it is it affecting how you show up fully in your relationship? And
Hmm.
that's how I define it for my clients. Because
Right.
they'll be like, well, I don't know if he's an alcoholic because he only drinks two beers, but I really hate when he does that. Well, I'm sure that the medical professionals wouldn't say that he has alcohol use disorder, but in this case, if it's impacting your relationship and you're upset all the time with them, then that's an issue to start working on.
Yeah, I have an example. It was not my partner, but I used to have a roommate. She would smoke weed and drink every day, every
Yeah.
day. And to me, it was like, well, you have this coping mechanism, like that's the way you cope with life. And I know she had lots of trauma and lots of things, and she chose substances to
Yeah,
feel better.
yeah,
It didn't affect me at all, but well, I'm not her partner, so it was
right.
fine. But at the same time, it was to me like I feel like it wasn't healthy for her, which is not none of my business. But I, after that, well, I met my boyfriend and he was doing a alcohol-free thing because he was on a medication. And then he's like, I just don't want to drink anymore. And
Mhm.
I was at the same time looking at all these data and all these doctors that say that there's no amount of alcohol that's safe for your brain or
Yeah,
for you. And so we both stopped drinking altogether. And now I see it like how I also used to use it to cope in like social uh,
yeah,
places and things like that. So I like that right now there's like this big movement of there's no safe substance. Like you're using that to cope something and to fill a hole. But in
yeah,
reality, it's not gonna fill the hole, and you're just gonna like go deeper and deeper into that trauma.
yeah.
Um, so it's interesting to see like you said at the beginning, it's people that don't see themselves, that don't love themselves, don't see themselves as nice and as good, and they need that substance to feel okay, which to me that already is not good. Like, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, because, when you see your partner in their addiction, whether it's alcohol or drugs or porn or shopping, it doesn't matter. It's like it can create a very upsetting emotional response by you. And then you want to tend to take it out on them, right? Whether you're frustrated or angry or whatever. But I want to offer up to everybody, nobody is hating on themselves more than that person. You can't hate on them any more than they already hate themselves. And a lot of people will probably be yelling at this podcast saying, you don't know what I've been through. And the truth is, well, maybe I don't know exactly, but I've been through enough to know that they are in pain and this is the way that they're coping with it. And until they decide to make a change in their life, you have to figure out how to empower yourself and be the strongest, most capable, loving, and, woman for everyone who's around you, from your coworkers to your kids. So
Yes,
that's,
yes, very, very true. And yeah, there are some people that are very uncomfortable with not drinking, and it's like it's social and this
oh
and that.
yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, well, why can't you enjoy the same way without drinking? What's the issue there?
Yeah.
But anyways, we're that's not what we're talking about. But so what would you say is the number one tool that you could offer these ladies that or men that are with their alcoholic partners to go from surviving and fight or flight, nervous system to thriving?
I would say the number one tool I work with all my clients, and I would offer up to all your listeners is, and it will immediately start reducing some of the stress that you have in your life, is by setting boundaries. And boundaries are the best way in order to protect your own peace. Because what they do is when you set a boundary with your partner, you're saying to them, when you do X, that makes me very uncomfortable. And so let's say it's overdrinking. When you overdrink, that makes me very uncomfortable. And if you do that in front of me, I am going to go to the bedroom. Like, we don't have to, ultimatums don't work. Let me just put that out there first. And it has to be a consequence that you will follow through with. I mean, you don't even have to start at the drinking with a boundary. You could just start to get your feet under, get your feet under you is like, if you don't pick up your laundry, I'm not going to wash it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it when you expect me to pick up your laundry. And if you don't pick up the laundry, I will no longer wash it. Just start there.
Mm-hmm.
Or I I don't like how much you drink. I will no longer buy you beer.
Mm-hmm.
Period. And then don't buy them beer. It's like it's just small steps, but you have to follow through on your consequences with boundaries, whether it's on actions, time, them not showing up on time, just uh, just respect all of it. That's what I
Yes,
would recommend.
I love that. And I feel like people think that boundaries are about controlling other people, but they're actually about protecting what you expose yourself to, or
Exactly.
not getting abused or things like that. So yeah, that was a very good way to put it and to lay out examples on how to set boundaries without being like, you can't do that because I say so.
Yeah, because that automatically throws your partner into defensive mode. Well, you can't tell me what to do. But
Exactly.
no, but if you come from a loving, detached place and just say, when you do X, it makes me feel uncomfortable. I am now going to do Y, then he knows, there are no surprises. And especially with Thanksgiving being tomorrow, I've been telling everybody on my reels and everything, it's like, set boundaries before you go to that Thanksgiving dinner. Create a plan so you know exactly what you're going to do if things go sideways. And third, get support from your cousins, your mother, or if you got a phone friend, just do something, but you take control of the holiday and don't let it spin out the way it's traditionally done.
Yes, I think we both have offers for that. And my offer is the Holiday Trigger Rescue, where, I offer a coaching session for free, so that we can help you design what that looks for you or to you, to set boundaries, to take time for yourself when you're getting triggered, what to
Yeah.
do, prepare for your triggers because you're gonna have them and they always happen and they're always usually the same. And yeah, take care of yourself first so that you're actually enjoying and not, being super fight or flight the whole dinner.
Yeah. Don't let them drive the bus anymore. You drive the bus. You
Exactly.
decide where this is going.
Yes.
You don't have to just sit in the back seat and watch anymore. You can be the driver of your life.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. This was such a good conversation. Do you want to share any links or any offers that you may have?
Yeah, if anybody knows of someone who has an alcoholic partner or a family member, maybe it's a mom or somebody that needs support with an alcoholic in their life, they can find me on my website, which is Deanna Marie Life Coaching, and that's with two N's, Deanna Marie Life Coaching.com. And you can read all about me and how I work with you. I actually, just like Veronica said too, I have a holiday survival guide for alcoholic partners, which you can find in the links in my on Instagram. You can find them there. And I also have a boundary guide on my site to really learn how to build boundaries, especially for this time of year, so that you can take back control of the holidays and not just wish this whole season away.
Awesome. I'm also gonna put all her links down here in the description. And thank you so much again for watching and have a wonderful Thanksgiving and
Happy
enjoy.
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.